L is for the way.
At petfix-club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfix-club.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.
Hi and welcome to this IGTV session. In case you don't know me, my name is Pete Wedderburn and I'm Pete the Vet. I'm the co-founder of a new website, petfix-club.com, and also petfix-shop.com. And we're here to, today I'm delighted to be interviewing Darren Randolph, who is the Irish goalie. He's also the goalie of West Ham, who are doing exceptionally well in the Premier League right now. He's actually number 2 goalie, and but that's really impressive. And so I've known Darren for a long time, since he was kicking a football around the housing estate where we both lived in Bray about 25 years ago. And so I'm just going to ask Darren to come online just now, and we're going to be talking about his own dog.
Connecting now. Here we are. How are you?
Yeah. Technology is incredible, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah. How's things? Keeping well?
Keeping very well, thanks, Darren. Keeping very well. We were meant to be. I'm going to kind of feel like saying to everybody, "Happy Paddy's Day," because we were meant to be here last night, but it couldn't be. So, happy day after Paddy's Day.
For some people, it could still be St. Patrick's Day. So,
were you celebrating St. Patrick's Day in London yesterday at all?
No, I just went to training, came home, and just watched a series on the telly. There's not much else.
Man, yeah.
So,
yeah. How's the football going?
It's good. Currently, come back from an injury at the minute, so I'm a couple of weeks away from being back fully fit.
Right.
So, frustrating times, but comes with
West Ham. I mean, I'm not like a big time soccer follower, but West Ham's doing exceptionally well as a team.
Yeah. We're having a very, very good season. Been in a good place in the league. And coming in the final 10 games. So it's going to be a good finish.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I hope you get a few games there yourself.
Yeah, it will be nice. So,
but listen, Darren, I wanted to talk to you about your dog Skye, really, because she's such a lovely dog, and she has an interesting problem as well, which is good to be able to tell people about the sort of issue and what she's been through with you. So, tell me about Skye. Where did she come from originally? Because she's 11 years old, nearly 11 years old now, isn't she?
Yeah, she's 11 now. So I had her since she was 6 weeks old.
Wow.
And there was a friend of mine who had a litter of pups. I think it was 12 pups in total.
Wow.
I just was around the house one day, had no intention of getting a dog. I just wanted to go see the puppies, but this one puppy just kept following me around everywhere. Where I went, this dog was following me at my feet. If I, tried to touch another puppy, this other puppy would get in the way. And within the space of probably half an hour, 40 minutes, I just decided I was gonna take Skye back with me. So I had to stop off at a shop on the way back and get
some puppy food.
Puppy pads and chew toys and all that kind of stuff. So for the moment decision, but very, very happy that I made that decision.
But you know what, I always think that that's the best way for it to happen, rather than kind of trying to plan methodically. I mean, you do have to plan, obviously you have to think about it carefully in advance. Yeah. When it comes to choosing an individual dog, it is like a heart decision. It's like an emotional connection. And it goes both ways. You fall for a puppy and the puppy falls for you, and you can just tell, and it's great when it happens.
Yeah, and I was quite lucky actually at the time when I did get Skye. It was in the summertime, so we had actually finished football. So I had probably 6 weeks of time being able to spend with her in the house.
Perfect. Yeah. But I mean, I know Skye quite well because she has had to go to the vet a fair bit, and she She is just such a good-natured dog. She is so good-natured. Like, there's no badness or anything about that dog. She is just a bundle of good nature. She's amazing, amazing dog. Tell me about her skin condition, because it developed quite early on in her life, didn't it?
I first noticed her skin after a few months. We've been out for a walk, and it was quite a hot day. Came back home. She was lying down on the carpet chewing on a little chew toy, whatever else. So I could see her like rolling around the place. Stomach was a bit red. I just thought she's probably a bit hot. And then she kept scratching, and she kept like licking her paws, and I just thought, oh, that's just what dogs do. Evening, as we always used to spend our evenings, I'd be on the couch, she'd be lying beside me. Her belly was red and blotchy, so I wasn't quite sure, at first what it was. Well, it could have been, maybe the carpet that she'd been lying on. At one point, here, obviously, rubbing her belly on the carpet. Right, well, she's not going on that anymore. And so I left it for a couple of days, and it calmed down. I thought, oh, okay, it's a one-off. But then, probably no more than a week, 2 weeks later, it was back again on her belly. But it stayed for longer. So brought her to the vets, and initially at the start they were giving me just like sprays and shampoos to stop the itching. And again, eventually after a couple of days it would go. But obviously as the years went on, sometimes the flare-ups would be a lot more aggressive. There are certain periods where she'd be scratching her neck so much where she'd scratch off all the fur, so it was just her skin. Her paws and her feet would be really puffy. Around her eyes would be puffy and red. And yeah, it would just be all over her body. And again, shampoos, sprays.
I think you had it investigated in quite a lot of detail at the start, like the vet taking skin scrapings and skin biopsies and doing everything like that.
And scrapes and bloods and everything.
And in the end, I think what we've kind of worked out with her is that she is like an exceedingly allergic dog, unfortunately. So I think she's allergic to three things. First of all, things in her environment. So like you said, when she went out on grass, it was all over her underside. And her feet are often she licks her feet a lot, doesn't she, as well? So she's allergic to things actually directly that she comes into contact with. She's also allergic to pollens and dusts. And have you found she's worse some times of year than others? Or is it pretty much constant?
No, it's always worse again when it's on the, I say the warmer days, so probably summertime or when the pollen count is high. And when she's worse, when she's running around in the grass, rolling around in the grass, probably in an hour or so of being back home, the rash is there. And again, it's hard, to keep her off the grass and not let her run around. The fabrics at home, it can be carpets, different blankets, rugs. So
and then the other thing that happens to dogs like yourself is that even if food allergy isn't the primary issue, sometimes it's like there's a threshold, you see, and everything that dogs are allergic to kind of makes it skin get close to being itchy, and then one extra thing they're allergic to takes it over the itching threshold, and then they start to itch and they start to scratch themselves. And when dogs like Skye scratch themselves and chew themselves, that then just makes it much worse because they damage their skin. And I'm sure you've noticed that sometimes she'll chew her feet and it'll go from being just a bit pink to being bright red and sore after half an hour of chewing. That kind of thing.
Constant licking and chewing on her feet. And then at times when she'd let me, if I tried to like look at her paws and look in between the pads of her paws, kind of like ulcers or little cuts, obviously that were bothering her. And then, you know, some days she'd be limping on paws or trying to lift, you know, keep one paw off the floor. And it was most of the time down to that.
Yeah. So what she has is unfortunately, it's a really common problem these days, and they reckon that it's a genetic abnormality, really. And what it means is that her skin, the skin barrier isn't the way it should be. The skin barrier, I mean, the skin's pretty amazing stuff, really. Like your skin stops bugs from getting in, but it lets moisture out, and it's a pretty impressive sort of sheet. Normally, I always think it's equivalent of like a piece of rubber on top of a roof that's completely doesn't let anything in at all, except that with dogs like Skye, it's not like rubber; it's more like perished rubber. That means there's little microscopic cracks in it, and that means that allergens like the pollens and the dusts and so on, they can get into the layer underneath the skin, and when they get underneath the skin, that's when they cause the reaction, and that's when her skin gets red and sore. So, I mean, I think what you've learned actually is that it's impossible to cure. You can't cure. But what you can do is you can manage it. And what she's had is absolutely typical of what works really well. And I think she has a good quality of life, doesn't she? She's not like bothered by her itch. It's just a pain in the neck for you guys to have to go back to the vet so often for injections and tablets and shampoos and all that stuff.
Yeah, even like I said, the days when she would chew on her paws and lick her paws and probably try to hold her paw up in the air, as soon as I'd walk or get the lead, all of a sudden there's no problem. You know, she's ready to go run around. Yeah. She spent the whole walk, you know, running around. You know, chasing a little ball, getting a stick, and then go back home, and then it's back to licking and chewing on her feet again. Yeah,
and there is an element of if dogs have, it's not boredom as much as if they're at a loose end or something. Like if they just got nothing else to do, then they'll just do it almost like a habit, and that's kind of part of it as well.
Yeah.
But can I just run through kind of the basic things that we do for dogs, like a self-treatment, just to let other folk know as well. And the first one of the things is actually quite funny, and that is the shampoo. Because shampoo is really important because first of all, it washes off any allergens that are on the surface, and secondly, it soothes the skin. But the thing is that with Skye, she's a very good-natured dog who just sits around the place most of the time, unless, what is the word you say, Darren? What is the word you say?
The word I use, if I just ask her, does she want a bath? And then as soon as she hears the word bath, tail goes between the legs, head goes down, and she'll try to walk out of the room. She'll go and try and hide somewhere. And then when I go to pick her up, she lies down on the floor and puts like her whole body weight on the floor. And then eventually, if I manage to get her in the bath, you know, she's shaking and then trying to.
Poor thing. She must just have had too many baths in her lifetime.
Well, she's had a lot of baths with the different shampoos trying to help her.
But I've never seen such a dramatic reaction to the word bath. Because we were visiting your place one time and somebody accidentally said bath, and literally Skye had been under the table sleeping, and she leapt up and she ran out of the room. She legged it, and as you say, her tail's between her legs, because the bath, she just knows what it means, and she doesn't like it very much.
Yeah, and again, I try and make bath time for her as you know, less stressful as possible, but it's impossible because, as I said, her tail goes between her legs, ears goes down, she head's down, she's looking at me like, what do you do to me? Then she, you know, starts to shake as if, you know, like I'm doing some kind of, you know, damage to her. And then as soon as I lift her out and I dry her off, the tail's wagging, she has a little shake, and then she has a little 2 minutes where she may go run around and go roll around on the floor again. So
you'd love that she'd learn the connection between, like, the thing about shampoo is it does actually soothe the skin. So she should be feeling better within about 15 minutes of being finished the bath. But anyway, And so that's the first thing, the shampooing. The second thing that's really important to her is anti-inflammatory medication. That's the most important thing, probably. And I don't know if you remember, but originally what we used to use is little white tablets called prednisolone, like a type of steroid. Yeah. And they're really effective, and they're really cost effective as well. But they have quite a lot of side effects, like drinking a lot and eating a lot. I don't know if she ever had that problem, did she? Or was that never really a thing for her?
No. Well, the eating side of things, she would only tend to eat. At first, I thought there was something wrong with her. Then I come to realize after a little while, she would only eat if I would eat.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, your food left there all day, and I'm thinking, why is she not eating this? And then she's obviously hungry. So there'll be days I'll just get a plate, like an apple on the plate, and just have it down on my lap, and then she'll go and eat. And then once she's finished, I just put the plate back on the table, and then I know she's eaten. And the same in the in the evening at dinner time, she'll only go and eat when I'm eating.
Do you know, that's actually, it's a really good tip for people that I have to say, I used to think it was a silly thing when, especially what veterinary nurses used to do. If they have a dog that wasn't eating in our hospital, they would go up to the dog and they would take some food and they go, look, yum yum yum, and they pretend to eat. And I looked at them and I thought, look, that's what you do with children. That's some work with dogs. But they actually, in recent years, they actually did a scientific study where they compared what made dogs eat, and humans eating in front of them absolutely works. It encouraged dogs to eat. So good for you in doing that. But sometimes dogs that are given those anti-inflammatory tablets, prednisolone, sometimes it does make them eat a huge amount, and they that causes problems to people. So the next level of drug that we use is a thing called cyclosporin, and that's been around probably for 8 or 9 years. And so I think Skye went on to that fairly early on in her treatment, and that's quite effective as well. But the latest thing that she's on is really the most impressive drug, which is what's called a monoclonal antibody. So they know that what happens in the skin is that something provokes an allergic reaction, and the allergic reaction, when you get stung by a nettle sting, the skin kind of goes, you get like a red wheal comes up. Yeah. So that's caused by histamine release, and that histamine release is the same thing that happens with an allergic reaction. So although you can't see like nettle stings on Skye's skin, that's kind of effectively what's happening at a microscopic level. So what this monoclonal antibody does, it's an injection that she gets once a month. And it's like an antibody. Instead of neutralizing a virus, the antibody neutralizes the particular chemicals that cause the wheal, like the nettle sting. So it's very, very specific. And because it's so specific, it means that she has almost no side effects from it. It just stops the allergic reaction. And so that's one of the things that's made a difference to her. And I think another thing is there's something that we add to pets' food, a kind of oil. Mackerel oil is the one that we have in the Pet Fix shop, which is literally it's oil from mackerels. And what it does is, you must know all about nutrition from your job. Yeah. So it basically, it's the equivalent of, they're essential fatty acids. You have to have the right sort of supplements. They have an anti-inflammatory effect, and they also optimize the condition of your body, including your skin. Yeah. So one of the things I said that a dog like Skye, the skin is like a piece of perish rubber. So if you give the dog the right level of extra fish oils, what happens is it makes the skin more like a sheet of shiny rubber. It helps to seal up the membranes between the cells, and it means that they're less likely to get itchy in the first place. Yeah. So anyway, so that's another thing for Skye. And in general, though, I think the main problem is it's an ongoing battle. Like you have to do this for her whole life, and it's a real challenge that's difficult for people, and you would never expect it. That's the last thing you thought of when you got that puppy, that you'd be having a puppy with sore skin.
Yeah, there's probably a whole list of other things I would have thought would be what I've thought before, having a hyper sensitive dog, with skin allergies. But again, going back to, like you said, with the mackerel oil, if I used to just put the tablets in the food, she'd sniff the food and then walk away. So you end up having, then have to end up, try to put the tablet inside a piece of mackerel or inside a sardine, then put it in the food. Food's gone in 10 seconds. It's finished, and then she's looking for more.
Right, no problem then. Yeah. They're easy enough to fool.
Yeah.
Apart from the bath. And I've got some questions that come up here from some of the people who are watching, Darren. Let's just see what they're saying. Somebody is saying, do you get to bring Skye with you when you travel? Yeah, that's a good question. Do you get to bring Skye with you when you travel?
Yeah, well, most of the time when the season finishes, I pack up the car, put all our stuff in the car, and we take a road trip, and we get the ferry back to Dublin.
Yeah.
Back to Dublin, back to the parents' house, in the car, then by boat. And yeah, she's fine. I started off by putting her in the boot, but then gradually as the journey went on, I checked the mirror. She's not in the boot. She's in the back seat.
All right. Yeah.
On the passenger side, looking out the window, then feel her arm, hitting off the like my elbow. She's like trying to get through, trying to get into the passenger seat.
Of course. Yeah.
Dashboard going on, and then she's down in the footrest. So eventually, I have to end up pulling over to get her out of the footrest and put her back in the back seat or back in the.
Put the seatbelt on.
Yeah, it can be a stress, but it's fun at the same time.
And did she ever travel by air? Have you ever had to do that?
I've never. Me personally, I wouldn't like. I don't like the thought of having to put the dog on the plane, probably underneath in a cage.
I think it's always a bit stressful for them because they don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah,
and they, funny enough, in North America, it seems that you can take dogs with you, like just literally have them on your lap, even big dogs like Skye. But in Europe, we're pretty strict about not doing that.
When she was a puppy and I'd go around London, I'd take her on the underground on the train. I'd jump on buses with her, and she'd just be fine. All she wants is attention and someone just to play games with.
Yes. Yeah.
She is a good travel partner.
Somebody has asked a football-related question here. Do you mind if I ask that?
No, go for it.
Is it true that David De Gea has posters of you in his bedroom? Is that a troll? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a troll, but I've seen that same comment on my Instagram a few times. It says, "Yeah, David De Gea posters of me in his bedroom." So I take that as a big compliment. So thank you very much.
And here's another one which you may or may not want to answer. This is from somebody called Peg. Is Skye the only girl in your life?
Yeah, she is.
Well, I can tell everybody she's not, because there is another girl, a slightly smaller girl who's a Chihuahua. Your mum's dog, Joni.
Joni the Chihuahua. Yeah, that's my mum's dog.
The two of them get on really well, don't they?
They get on really well. At the start, Joni wasn't sure on Skye because Skye was just wouldn't take any notice of Joni. She just run around, run over the top of Joni. You know how small Chihuahuas are, and obviously Skye's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And
I mean, the difference in size is incredible. It'd be like you, never mind an elephant. It'd be like you with a creature that's like 4 or 5 times the size of an elephant. It's kind of like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, after a while and a few times of getting trampled on, Joni, she keeps her space. But the big red like beanbag bed that has, and they both jump up on the bed and sleep up there, and they're both up on the couch, along with her mum's cat Pepper. So yeah, it's a strange mix, but it all seems to work somehow.
Yeah. That's very good. It is, and I've seen the two of them together, and they're just really good friends.
Yeah.
Really good friends. Yeah. So Darren, what are your plans for the next few months then? Is the lockdown's not great for any of this stuff, is it? For any of the football stuff, really?
No, it's not brilliant. Obviously, the thing is having no fans there. I mean, in everyday life of us going to training, we're used to having to wear masks around the place and sanitize everywhere, and still is, some social distance rules involved, especially even on game day. But I mean, the sooner kind of get back to some kind of normality, the better. As I said, there's only a couple of months left of the season, so I will be hoping to get back to Dublin for a little visit, because it's been a while since I've got back.
Well, Darren, there's a couple more football questions and there's adult questions. So we'll start with the football ones, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Here we go. Do you miss playing for Middlesbrough? I suppose you must make a lot of friends in a place like that. It must be difficult to go, is it?
Yeah, you do. You make friends. Every club you go to. And again, I went to Middlesbrough, and we had the whole kind of aim was to get promotion back to the Premier League. I met some great people. The team I was involved in there was brilliant. And sometimes it can be hard to find a dressing room where everybody gets on, and everybody got along in that changing room. And I had some great seasons at Middlesbrough. So yeah, I do miss the Northeast and Middlesbrough and the club itself.
And here's another question which you probably don't want to answer. And I'm not a sports person, so it's kind of hard for me to know what one oughtn't to ask. But somebody says, hang on a second, here we go. What is the best save that you ever made?
I don't know. I get asked this question,
What?
But yeah, quite a lot. It's hard to.
It's probably a last save. I don't know.
yeah. The best one is the last one. Honestly, it's too hard for me to pick one. There's saves that I have saved on my phone that look brilliant for the camera. To put them on, they look brilliant. And there's other the boring saves in games that keep a clean sheet and you win 1-0, or you keep the score at 0-0 and you go on to win the game. So pick out just one.
What I remember you most for, just me, is the way you boot the ball up the pitch, and in particular the time that Ireland was playing Germany, and I love watching, especially when you're playing, Darren, but you weren't playing that day. And next thing, we'd just go, hey, he's on.
Yeah.
And just tell us a story of that day, because that is such a classic.
Yeah. So we'd obviously playing Germany in India Viva in Dublin. Game kicks off. Shay Given was playing goal, and David Ford had actually been playing before Shay. So just before halftime, 41, 42 minutes, I think Shay took a goal kick, and he went down on the ground, and he wasn't getting up. The doc and the physio ran on, and then you have the other paramedics with the what you call the spinal board that run on. So me and David Ford jumped up to get warm, and obviously where he had been playing before, we were kind of stood in the tunnel, and I was just kicking footballs at him, trying to get him warm. So we went back to the bench, and then the manager, Martin O'Neill, turned around to me and said, "You're get ready, you're going on." So quickly, everything off, gloves on, and yeah, went on. Only had a few to play before half time, and sometimes that can be the best thing to do when you don't have a lot of time to think about, you know, what's going on. And then second half, I remember getting a pass back from, I remember David Myler. I took a touch, and we had John Walters out on the right hand side, and obviously Shane Long in the middle. And I knew that's the side of the pitch I wanted to kick it on. I just kicked it and then looked up, and it just kept going and going and going and going. And then obviously Shane Long's threw on goal, and the rest is history. He scored.
That must have been such a fabulous moment.
Yeah.
And finally, wasn't blue when you beat Germany. I mean, it doesn't get that much better than that.
Exactly, and that's up there. You know, as one of my you know, career highlights. One of the best nights of my career so far.
Fantastic. Now, Darren, I don't want to keep you too long, so we're going to have to wind up. Oh, somebody says his best save was against Liverpool in the 4th round, extra time, from Ben Takey. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes, I do remember. That could be. Oh, I think that might have been the triple save. I think, but person, if it is a triple save, then just let us know if I'm right or wrong.
Yes. Okay, we're going to end with a dog question. Hang on a second. There's so many questions that come in, Darren. Which NBA team do you support? Well, that's not a dog question, but that's a good question because which
NBA team is Orlando Magic.
All right.
Yeah, Orlando Magic. Was fascinated with obviously Michael Jordan and the Bulls, but for some reason, Shaquille O'Neal, when he was at Orlando Magic, and then Orlando Magic was the first, you know, basketball jersey that I ended up getting. And yeah, I was stuck in the Magic, and they ain't been very good since. So, but I'm sticking by them.
Oh, you there still, Darren?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. It's grand. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Orlando Magic. I'm going to stick with them.
Yeah, great. Here we go. Now, here is the last one. What's Darren's favourite breed of dog? I think I might know the answer to that.
My favourite breed is Staffordshire Bull Terrier. I love Huskies, but the thought of all of the fur getting everywhere puts me off. And then
Staffies are pretty much, they're very fine coat, don't they? So
yeah,
the fur around the house isn't a big deal, all right?
No, it's not at all. And especially obviously since having Skye, and I got to know obviously her personality and her behaviours. I think she's a perfect example of a breed of dog with a bad kind of reputation. Kind of how you treat them, and just how nice and how good they can be. Yeah, like I've been on many walks where I've been on one side of the road and someone's walking toward me with another dog, whether it be bigger or smaller, and they end up crossing the road. I think they take offense to that, because I think they look at Skye and think, oh, she's a Staffy, she's gonna go for my dog. Well, 9 times out of 10, if as we're walking towards the dog, she'll kind of look at me for, like, she'll glance up for approval. I'll just simply say no. As we approach the other dog, I just say no, and she just carries on about her business.
Yeah, no, there's been a big problem for the Staffordshire Bull Terrier breed, because they've been kind of pigeonholed as being very aggressive, and they just aren't. And I mean, I think the research has shown that, like, there's the legislation to control dogs. It's known as breed-specific legislation, and it's been really discredited because it's not about the breed; it's about the individual dog. And there's no doubt, unfortunately, that some people train bull-type breeds because they're such strong, muscular dogs. Some people do train them to be like weapons, and that's really unfortunate. and they can be dangerous because they're so strong. But innately, I mean, Skye is such an ambassador for her breed. She is so gentle. She wouldn't hurt a mouse. She's just, and the fact that she spends so much time with a tiny Chihuahua, and there's never been a little bit of any aggression between the two of them. You know?
There's no aggression. There's times where Skye will be eating her food, and Joni has her head in Skye's food bowl, and then Skye will kind of just step back and look around. He helped me. This little my food, and she won't do anything. But again, going back to the breed of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, obviously when I first got Skye, I did a lot of obviously research online, and I looked at a lot of videos of obviously how people would train athletes to obviously to fight and be aggressive, which is again which is quite sad.
Yeah, it is.
And again, because they're a breed of dog, they don't really show any real signs of pain. If they're in any discomfort, you might not ever know.
You're right. I mean, it probably does come down to the fact that over the many years ago they were trained. Some of them were fighting dogs, or dogs to work with bulls, with cattle, and so they tend to have a very high pain threshold, which means that they can be injured and not show signs of being injured because they just shrug it off, really. But like they're also known as the nanny breed, the nanny dog, because they're so.
I was going to say, when I did the research, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, aka the granny dog, and I was thinking, granny dog, what dog have I got?
But just because they're generally so good with people, you know. But listen, Darren, thanks so much for coming along this evening, and thanks for bringing all your fans, and hello all the football fans. I'm sorry it wasn't pure football today, because I'm sure some of you would love it to have been.
That as well, so thank you.
Darren, thanks so much for coming along, and I look forward to see you again when you're back with Joni and your parents and your family.
No worries. All right. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot. Take care. See you, Darren. Bye now.
Bye.
L is for the way.
At Petfix Club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfix-club.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.